So you think your doctor is bad because they make you wait 45 minutes past your appointment time? Cute. Let me tell you about a time when your medical professional's solution to literally everything was either bleeding you like a Capri Sun or prescribing you cocaine. Bloodletting, the ultimate cure-all. Let's start with bloodletting. For roughly 2,000 years, yes, 2,000 doctors looked at sick people and thought, you know what would help? Less blood. Definitely less blood. Got a headache? Bloodletting, fever. Bloodletting, plague go. You better believe that's bloodletting. It was like the duct tape of medieval medicine, except duct tape actually works. The logic was based on the for humor's theory. Doctors believed your body had for fluids that needed to be balanced. So naturally, when you were sick, they just drain some out, like you're a car with too much oil. Except you're not a car, you're a person, and you actually need that blood. They had special tools for this. Lancets for cutting, and my personal favorite, leeches. Because why use a sterile medical instrument when you could use a small vampire worm? George Washington himself died partly because doctors drained about 40% of his blood. Trying to cure a throat infection, the father of the United States was basically juice boxed to death by his own medical team. And this wasn't some fringe treatment. This was mainstream medicine. Doctors who didn't bleed their patients were considered quacks. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a lancet. Trepanation, when headaches needed ventilation if bloodletting sounds bad. Wait until you hear about trepanation. This is where someone with a headache, or seizures, or mental illness, or honestly just bad vibes, would have a hole drilled into their skull, while conscious, with no anesthesia. The theory was that this would release evil spirits or relieve pressure, and you know what? Sometimes people survive this, which honestly says more about human resilience than medical competence. Archaeological evidence shows that some skulls had multiple holes, meaning people came back for seconds. The tools they used, basically the same thing you'd use to drill a hole in your wall, except the wall is your skull, the picture is your brain, and there's no going to Home Depot if you mess up. What's truly wild is that trepanation was practiced across multiple cultures independently. The Incas did it, ancient Egyptians did it, Europeans did it. It's like humanity collectively decided, you know what this headache needs? Feng Shui for my brain. And before you think this is ancient history, people were still doing this into the 20th century. Your grandparents were alive when doctors were still playing Operation on people's skulls. Mercury, everything drug, let's talk about mercury. You know, that shiny liquid metal that's extremely toxic. Yeah, doctors used to prescribe that for everything. Syphilis, constipation, depression. Mercury was the ancient world's aspirin. Except aspirin doesn't make your teeth fall out. The treatment for syphilis was particularly special. Doctors would give patients mercury pills, leading to excessive salivation, sometimes up to a liter per day. Doctors saw patients drooling like broken faucets and thought, excellent, the medicine is working. There was even a saying, a night with Venus, a lifetime with Mercury. The side effects: tooth loss, kidney failure, brain damage, and death. But hey, at least you didn't have syphilis anymore. Mostly because you were dead. Tobacco smoke enemas. Exactly what it sounds like. I need you to sit down for this one. Actually, maybe stand. Because we're about to discuss tobacco smoke enemas, and you're going to need to process this. In the 18th and 19th centuries, if someone drowned or appeared dead, the recommended treatment was to literally blow tobacco smoke up their rectum. I am not making this up. There were actual kits placed along the River Thames in London for this exact purpose. The logic was that the tobacco smoke would warm the person and stimulate respiration. So naturally, the best route was up the back door. They had special equipment, a bellows system specifically designed for rectal tobacco administration. Someone engineered this. Someone sat down and designed an optimal butt smoking apparatus. This is where the phrase blowing smoke up your ass comes from. We literally turned a defunct medical treatment into an idiom for lying to someone. The practice was so common that these kits were standard medical equipment, recommended by the Royal Humane Society. The Royal Humane Society. It was in the name and everything. Quick thing, if you're enjoying this tour through humanity's worst ideas, hit that subscribe button and drop a like. I promise our content is better researched than 18th century medicine, cocaine, and heroin. The cough syrup era. Let's discuss the early 1900s, when you could buy cocaine and heroin over the counter, not as illicit street drugs, as medicine. Bayer. Yes, that Bayer marketed heroin as a cough suppressant for children. The brand name was literally heroin. Their advertising claimed it was non-addictive. Spoiler alert, it was very addictive. Cocaine was even better. It was in everything. Toothache drops for kids, energy tonics, even Coca-Cola. Hence the name. Tired, cocaine. Sad, cocaine. Have a mild cold. Believe it or not, also cocaine. Sigmund Freud was a huge cocaine enthusiast. He prescribed it for depression, anxiety, and sexual problems. Then he got addicted to it and had to quietly walk back his entire stance. Awkward. Doctors genuinely believed these drugs were miracle cures. They saw the immediate effects: euphoria, energy, pain relief, and thought, perfect, no notes. The transition from beloved medicine to illegal narcotic happened surprisingly quickly once they realized everyone was addicted. Lobotomies, the worst Nobel Prize ever. We need to talk about lobotomies, and specifically how the guy who invented them won a Nobel Prize. Yes, a Nobel Prize. For scrambling people's brains with an ice pick. The procedure was simple. Insert an ice pick-like instrument through the eye socket, into the brain, and swish it around. That's it. That's the whole procedure. It took about 10 minutes. They did it in doctors' offices. The inventor, Walter Freeman, literally used an ice pick from his kitchen for early procedures. He called it the transorbital lobotomy and traveled around the country in a van. He called the lobotomobile. Yes, really, performing lobotomies like some kind of horrifying ice cream truck. The results were mixed, and by mixed, I mean some people became vegetables and others died. But some people did get calmer, mostly because you can't be agitated when significant portions of your frontal lobe are pureed. We performed tens of thousands of these. Rosemary Kennedy, JFK's sister, received one and was left permanently incapacitated, all because she was moody and had seizures. The craziest part, this was the 1940s and 50s. Your parents or grandparents were alive when doctors were winning prizes for essentially giving people brain damage on purpose. So, there you have it, a brief tour through medical treatments that make you grateful for modern healthcare. Even when they charge you $100 for an aspirin, the takeaway here isn't that our ancestors were stupid. They were working with limited knowledge and genuinely trying to help. But man, were they confident about some truly terrible ideas? Next time you're frustrated with your doctor, just remember, at least they're not suggesting cocaine eye drops or rectum-based smoke therapy. Drop a comment below with the worst medical advice you've ever received. I guarantee it is better than let us drill a hole in your head. See you next time.